Hello everybody, my name is Peter Steele with pbsteele.com, and today we're going to do a quick tutorial on Python variables. So variables are a very fundamental part of programming. Essentially what they are, it's a named variable that you use, so it could be anything. It could be name, city, state, it could be whatever you want it to be, and you assign it to equal to some kind of content or value. For instance, it can be a string, it can be a boolean, it can be integers, it can be a float. So in Python, what it does is essentially you take a human readable, easy to remember name and you assign it to some kind of data or content, and it references that data or content in memory without you having to memorize the memory location. So let's take a look at what it looks like. So if we're going to do a variable, we're actually going to call it name, and we're going to set it equal to Peter because that's my name. So what we've essentially done here is we have assigned the string Peter to this variable called name, and basically anytime that we call this variable name, we're going to be able to reference this string Peter in memory without having to know that memory location. So let's print it out to the screen. So we're going to print and then just type in name, and then we'll run Shift F10 here, and you can see that we do indeed print out Peter. Pretty simple, pretty easy. So let's talk about how you can name your variables. So there's several different things that you need to be aware of. Python is case sensitive. So name is not the same as, say, name or all capital name or even something like this. So we have to be aware with Python that it is case sensitive on our variable names. And you need to be aware that when creating your variables, if you do decide to change it up a little bit later on in the program, you need to memorize it. So it's generally not a good idea to sit and have a ton of variables that are going to be similar in sound and actual names themselves. So for instance, if you do like weather, and then you do another one called like weathers, and then you do like capital weather, or maybe WEA as capitals or something like this, you don't really want to do that because it's just going to confuse people reading your code later on. It's going to confuse you later on in the program. So try to keep your variable names distinct and easy to remember. Assign them actual names that are going to be useful so that when people read your code, they know what's going on and what's being stored there, instead of you just putting like an X or a Y, which, I mean, it is valid. So you could do like X equals 2, Y equals 3, or something like this. Those are valid variables that you can use to store integers or whatever you want, text, it doesn't matter. But it's not very useful when you read the program, you know, say 2 years from now, and you're like, well, what does X mean, or what does Y mean, and what, you know. So you want to make sure that you're going to use names that are actually useful. So that brings us to Camel Casing. So Camel Case is actually a very popular method to name your variables in a consistent manner throughout your program. So for instance, you could say, maybe create a variable, you know, has input name. So has input name. So what you do is the first part of the variable name starts with a lowercase, and then for every word after that, you have an uppercase letter to start. So maybe you're doing a user input and you're wondering if they've actually input their name into the console yet. So you could create a variable that is useful and says has input name, and then you could run some sort of check to see if they've actually done that. So it's actually really useful to have the camel casing, and it does kind of make everything more uniform throughout your code later on. You can also use numbers in your variable, so you could do like name 1, name 2. You could also do like, say, M3ME if you wanted to. Why you would want to do that, I don't know, but it is perfectly valid. What you cannot do, and it's an illegal operation in Python, is start a variable with a number. So you cannot start a variable with a number. You must start it with either a alphanumeric character or an underscore, and then you can add the integers and the numbers later on throughout the name if you would like to do so. Alright, so just be aware of that. So remember, Python is case sensitive. You can use underscores, you can use camel casing, you can use numbers in your variable names with the underscores, so you could do like name, you could also do like NA_ME, you can do has name, something like that. Those are all perfectly valid, perfectly legal operations in Python. So you just got to find a convention that works best for you and what works best for your coding style. There are double underscores that you can do, but those are reserved for magic methods in Python, so you want to stay away from those. And there are some names that are reserved in the global namespace for Python that, again, most IDEs will actually tell you if you're trying to reference something that is going to be used by Python's core library. So you don't want to set those names. You don't want to overwrite those with your own variables. So anyways, I hope this video helped you out. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below. As always, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We really appreciate it. Make sure to like the video. And you can also check us out on our website, pbsteel.com. And then you can also check us out on our blog. We post a bunch of tutorials on different programming languages and, Arduino and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. So check it out if you haven't already. We hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.